The race for the White House has entered its final few weeks, and candidates Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton have faced off for a second time at a debate in St. Louis, Missouri. The nominees refused to shake hands at the outset, setting the tone for the rest of the night. The lead up to the event had been dominated by Donald Trump's taped comments about groping women, and early on he was asked to respond.
Brag that you have sexually assaulted women. Do you understand that?
No, I didn't say that at all. I don't think you understood what was said. This was locker room talk. I'm not proud of it. I apologize to my family. I apologize to the American people. Certainly, I'm not proud of it. But this is locker room talk. You know, when we have a world where you have ISIS chopping off heads, where you have, and frankly, drowning people in steel cages, where you have wars and horrible, horrible sights all over, where you have so many bad things happening. This is like medieval times. We haven't seen anything like this, the carnage all over the world. And they look and they see. Can you imagine the people that are, frankly, doing so well against us with ISIS? And they look at our country and they see what's going on. Yes, I'm very embarrassed by it. I hate it. But it's locker room talk, and it's one of those things. I will knock the hell out of ISIS. We're going to defeat ISIS. ISIS happened a number of years ago in a vacuum that was left because of bad judgment. And I will tell you, I will take care of ISIS.
So, Mr.
And
Trump,
we should get on to much more important things.
Trump's comments on women dominated the first 30 minutes of the debate, but other controversies soon came up, including Trump's tax returns, which revealed that he had filed for almost $1 billion loss.
The New York Times published 3 pages of your 1995 tax returns. They show you claimed a $916 million loss, which means you could have avoided paying personal federal income taxes for years. You've said you pay state taxes, employee taxes, real estate taxes, property taxes. You have not answered, though, a simple question. Did you use that $916 million loss to avoid paying personal federal income taxes for years?
Of course I do. Of course I do. And so do all of her donors, or most of her donors. I know many of her donors.
Hillary Clinton also wasn't impervious to controversy, and Trump did his best to remind the audience of that, particularly on the issue of Clinton's handling of classified emails while she was Secretary of State.
I didn't think I'd say this, but I'm going to say it, and I hate to say it. But if I win, I am going to instruct my Attorney General to get a special prosecutor to look into your situation, because there has never been so many lies, so much deception. There has never been anything like it. And we're going to have a special prosecutor. When I speak, I go out and speak. The people of this country are furious. In my opinion, the people that have been long-term workers at the FBI are furious. There has never been anything like this, where emails, and you get a subpoena, and after getting the subpoena, you delete 33,000 emails. And then you acid wash them, or bleach them, as you would say, a very expensive process. So we're going to get a special prosecutor, and we're going to look into it, because you know what? People have been, their lives have been destroyed for doing 1/5 of what you've done, and it's a disgrace. And honestly, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Secretary Clinton, I want to follow up. You know, it's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Yeah, because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Let's get more on this debate from Harry Horton, who is in St. Louis, was watching that debate for us. Harry, good to see you. Let's start with Trump, who definitely went into this debate on the back foot with the release of those tapes. Many senior Republicans in the last 24 hours before the debate indicating they wouldn't vote for Donald Trump in the run-up. Do you think Mr. Trump did enough to steady his campaign?
Well, I think certainly Donald Trump's supporters will feel that his performance tonight was strong enough to stop the series of Republicans who have come out and said they're not going to vote for him. You know, he had a few strong moments. He was particularly strong when attacking Hillary Clinton on her emails, and he again made the case that he was the candidate of change, that Hillary Clinton had been a politician for 30 years. She hadn't enacted changes in the country in that time, whereas if he were to be elected president, then he would bring real reform. But I think there's still some question marks tonight over Donald Trump. In particular, at one moment in the debate, he said that he disagreed with his vice presidential running mate Mike Pence when it comes to their foreign policy position on Syria. And in fact, Donald Trump said he hadn't discussed that with Mike Pence. So major question marks there about their relationship. Also, when he brought up the fact that if he were elected president, he would instruct his attorney general to investigate Hillary Clinton and look at or look into a way of prosecuting her. For a presidential candidate to suggest that when they're elected president, they're going to try and jail their rival is unprecedented. So, although Donald Trump supporters will feel he's done well in moments tonight, I think there are still major questions about his campaign, and they'll have to be addressed in the coming days.
As you said, Hillary Clinton did face some tough questions from Trump on her emails, on her leaked transcripts. There were times when she looked like she was a little bit on the back foot. How do you think she did?
Well, those are issues that have come up time and time again during this presidential campaign, and they raise questions about qualities of Hillary Clinton that voters feel are particularly weak. That's her honesty and trustworthiness, and those things keep coming up time and time again. And I think tonight she didn't deal with the issues of the emails and those leaked transcripts well enough to address the concerns of voters that they might have over her honesty and trustworthiness. So, I think her campaign will be pleased enough with her performance tonight. She didn't deliver any knockout blows when it comes to Donald Trump. But, in particular, this suggestion that she says one thing in public and another thing in private, that will remain after tonight. And that's something that has consistently come up, as I said, throughout this presidential campaign for her. And it's something that she's going to have to deal with in the remaining weeks.
I suppose the question with these debates is, what do they actually achieve? I mean, do you think either of these candidates picked up any of those undecided voters that they so desperately need to really push them forward?
Well, that's the big question after debates like this. And I guess we'll find that out in the coming days when the polls start to be released. But it was a particularly ugly debate. There was lots of mudslinging from both sides, very little policy discussed. As you said earlier, no handshake at the beginning of the debate. So it's hard to imagine how any undecided voters watching this tonight could have been swayed in any sort of positive way by either candidate. But really, that's been the tone of this whole election campaign. We haven't seen a lot of policy discussion. It's been very focused on personalities. We'll see whether anything that was said tonight will have an impact on the polls and change any of those dwindling number of undecided voters.
OK, Harry, good to speak to you. Harry Horton there for us in St. Louis.